Hi all, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another crafting tutorial, and Merry Christmas to you guys. And in this one today we're going to build all of this. Now everything you see here is modular, can be picked up, placed to whatever you want. Even these things come out underneath. Everything is water. But without further ado, I'm going to take you to the crafting table and let's build this board. Come on! Merry Christmas, my friends, and in today's video we're gonna build all of this. Alright, this is gonna be a long video but a cool one. Alright, all these things are modular, and the base of the table is water, so everything can stack on top of that, which would also be cool for just sewer battles. Now I went to the hardware store to cut 4 wooden beams to the size of 120 centimeters by 121 and a half. This is so it matches with my board. Now I'm going to drill in the holes roughly 10 centimeter intervals. Now be sure to drill holes very close to the edge as well. Excuse me, this will be to attach the rims of our table. Now so I have my 2 XPS sheets of 120 by 60 centimeter, and I'm going to attach them together with some painter's tape. And then I'm going to proceed to drill holes to the side. Now once the board is set, I draw 2 lines that run equal to my table's edge underneath, and I will screw in 2 more planks to make this fit onto my regular table. Just see how I made my Warhammer table in the previous video. Now I'm going to screw in my border planks like so. Just simply drill them in. This is where the painter's tape comes in handy to keep the boards together while I do this. Alright, now do this all around the board, and be sure to drill the end pieces. That's why I told you to drill as close to the edge as well. So far so good. This is for a 4x4. Now underneath my board I'm gonna screw in these beams equal with the line of my table's edge, as you see me do here, and do this on both sides of the table. And the reason that I do this is simply because of this. This way I can lock the board to my table and easily remove it, but it won't slide around during gameplay. And it's very lightweight. It is pretty big, but it is lightweight. Doesn't weigh a thing. And this also reinforces the 2 XPS sheets. And to attach it to my table, I simply slide the edge over to my table like so, and it locks into place. And this won't move around during gameplay, so we're good to go. Alright, nice. See? Locks and clicks. Easy. Alright, so don't do the following that I just did. Alright, just showing you what I did wrong and how I lost 2 days of work. Now, I started to build up all the layers and layers of XPS and polystyrene sheets, stuck them down with Tex 7, and then I came to realize that nothing was modular and it would have been better to do it that way. So here you can see how I screwed up everything, attached everything. So we begin again 2 days later from the bottom up, and our first layer will be water. So I start with creating a 120 centimeter by 120 centimeter canal / sewer water board with only toilet paper and glue and varnish. If you want to, you could do it with resin, but I wanted to keep it as cheap as possible, and you will need a lot of toilet paper and glue. So start with PVA, water it down all the way, and then mix it up and paint in section by section with the watered down PVA, and then place on a layer of toilet paper like so. And once that is attached, I simply begin to stipple that very gently and keep the stippling into one and the same direction. Sometimes spray some extra water on top of that, and keep on doing this until you've layered the entire board. Side note, you will need 3 to 4 layers at least, and these are 3 layers of toilet paper and 1 extra layer of paper towel. Now I'm going to do is smoothen this with a paint roller with watered down Mod Podge or PVA. Both works just as well, also in one direction. And once you are happy with it, you can either let it dry or stipple with a brush one more time, and then let it all dry for at least 2 to 3 days. I know it's a long time, but trust me, it's necessary. But in the meantime, while it's drying, you can build other projects, of course. But yeah, 2 days at least. and you can give it several coats. Now while this dries, I will begin on working on my elevations, and this is where our prep work from the first video will come in handy. Trust me. Alright, now I have an XPS tile. Choose how big you want it. This one is roughly 25 centimeters deep by 60 centimeters, not 40. And you will also need wooden beams and the wall pieces that we've made in the previous video. Now I'm gonna score my tile and glue this on top of the XPS. You will recognize the foam board. It's what we've made in the previous video. Right, so simply attach that with white glue, put some weight on it, let it all dry. Now once it's dry, simply cut off the excess, flip it over, cut it off, go slow and go gently and make sure your blade is very sharp, alright? But be careful not to cut your fingers. Slow and steady wins the race, guys. Alright, cool. Now I cut my wall sections to the height of the XPS tile, and I also cut the wooden beams. The beams I will leave about 1 centimeter roughly higher than the walls, like so. Now also I cut a semicircle in one of the walls and gently and very slowly twisted in some toothpicks with some PVA glue attached on it. Now once those were dry, I simply snipped off the edges like so, very carefully with the garden scissors. And this way I created a sewer grate into my wall. Now glue the wall sections on the front and only at the front of the harbor tile. Yes, this is my harbor tile. Alright, measure it and then cut the walls. Just using tacky glue here, PVA glue. Works perfectly. And let that dry. Alright, now while that is drying, I cut the 4 centimeter beams into an L shape and cut about ½ centimeter in. Like so, leaving roughly ½ centimeter on the top as well. And I need to switch out my blade because it's getting dull from the XPS. Now do all the other beams like this as well. I simply use one of them as a template, like so. Do that for all your beams. I used 5. Now glue 1 on each end and the 3 others, spread them evenly across your wall. Like this. Alright, cool. And the sewer, I really like the sewer grate. It's pretty cool. I'm also gonna glue in some foam bricks around that. Now next I cut a bunch of 2mm thick squares, and these are 2 cm by 2 cm. And these I will stick on top of my border. The offcuts I keep for wooden planks in future builds. Now texture this with a tinfoil ball to create the stone pattern. Alright, cool. Nice. 2 cm squares like this. Have a little offcut, but that's actually handy. Now put some PVA glue down and start by laying in these tiles. Do that all around. Now one thing I don't show in this video is I also put in some cloth pins on top of the foam beams, and I attached a jewelry chain to that with some super glue. And also attached a stairway that I've made to the side as well. Alright, now let's create our waterboard. Alright, so I am going to use green, black, white and brown paint to create a green-gray watercolor worthy of any sewer or canal, especially worthy of Mordheim, and it will look disgustingly gross. Now let's mix this all up. Paint multiple layers of this thing. Each one I add a little bit more white into the mixture to lighten it. And you don't have to wait till it's dry, simply wet blend them all together. We will use a paint roller to smoothen and blend everything out in the end. First lay down my first base color here, my first base coat, and looks cool so far. But this is just, well, one color, so let's blend in a little bit more, shall we? Some more tone variations. Now, as you can see, adding in a little bit more white, some more green, and I'm creating some sort of dead guard greenish, disgustingly sick color, and I'm gonna blend it all in with the paint roller. Blend it all together. This looks way better. Now let this dry at least overnight. At least. So here we are 2 days later. And yeah, it took me a little bit longer than that. So I bought 2 cans of the cheapest and high gloss varnish I could find. €3 in Action per can. And I am going to use them to give them multiple layers over the entire board. Now do this outside and preferably wear a respirator, alright? If you have it. And start by covering the entire board with this. In the end, I think I've used 4 or 5 layers across the entirety of the board. And it really gave out a nice shine and gloss water texture varnish. Really turned out great in the end. And I'm happy that I have chose to go the modular route with this. It really was a step up from what I've created in the beginning. Alright, cool water board. And the base of Mordheim. Okay, time to build our ground floor. Now I'm going to use XPS sheets, 2 that are 3 centimeters high, and they are 120 centimeter by 60 centimeter. One of them I'm going to cut in half to be 60 centimeter by 60 centimeter, and to texture these, either use the foam board sheets we've prepared in the previous video, or do what I'm about to do here. Now you will need again a texture roller, and same technique as in video 1. Roll the rolling pin with a firm even pressure across the surface, and then keep on doing this over all your tiles. Over your baseboard basically. And wear gloves, guys, because this is murder on your hands if you don't use gloves. Some working gloves will do. And keep the pin running evenly with the previous lines, like so. Go slow, but keep a firm and steady pressure on top of it, alright? And it creates a nice indentation into the foam. Like so. Now do this for all the baseboards and glue on the foam board sheets we've built in the previous video. I personally am saving those for future builds. Now, okay, let's add some stonework to the sides of these boards as well. And I'm measuring the halfway point, which is 3 centimeters, so 1 centimeter and a half, and I'm gonna draw a line here. And I'm gonna go all around the 4 edges of all my boards, and then I'm gonna start to draw in a brick pattern. Now to do this, I'm using a hot wire tool to draw in the brick pattern, but if you don't have it, simply use a pen. It works well. And when you use a hot wire tool like I am here, be sure to wear a respirator, especially when doing this indoors, okay guys? Because the fumes are toxic. Okay, once we've done this, we're going to take another tinfoil ball and we're going to roll this over the edges to make it look like stone once again. And I apologize for the background noise, but it's very windy outside, so the doors and the windows are banging here, so I'm sorry. Now this looks good enough for me. Looking cool. Now we're gonna do the same for the other boards here as well. Now we're gonna prime it all black, either by hand or foam safe spray. I'm using my paint roller, but don't put it on too thick or you'll clog the details, alright? So I think in the end I did 2 thin coats across the entirety of these boards. And don't forget to do the sides as well, alright? Alright, now when that is done, I'm gonna take it outside. And I'm gonna dust spray it with from a distance with a light gray primer, like so. Alright, looking cool. Already giving that stone effect. Now next I create a very dark brown wash and cover everything. Use whichever wash you are used to. Mine is black and brown acrylic paint with lots of water and 3 drops of dish soap. Cover the entire board. Now once the wash is semi-dry, I splatter on some green and brown glaze, actually. Just splash it on top of the board. Doesn't have to be a pattern, just splash it on there, go nuts, and stipple it in. Blend it in with the wet wash. And this will give a more dirty, texture. Now next I dry brush everything once it's all dry with a mixture of gray and white. Before you do this, make sure the wash is completely dry overnight, alright? So dry brush everything. I'm using a large makeup brush to do this. And apologize again for the background noise. It's the door that keeps clicking here with the heavy winds outside. It is pretty stormy, and I'm doing this video at my workplace, so I can't do nothing about the door. I apologize. Alright, back to the video. So dry brushing the entire board. And one final thing I'm doing to these baseboards, I ground up some soft pastels and dust paint over the board to make it look more grimy. So grounded up some pastels, blended them in, and I'm gonna touch this and sprinkle this all over my board, and then actually basically paint it in. Smear the pigment all over the board, like scattered dust and everything. Now of course we're gonna have to lock this in place, so I'm gonna use a matte varnish spray for this. This also does two things. It locks in the pigment, and it also protects the board from playing on it and getting it damaged. So yeah, both these get about 3 coats of matte clear varnish. Okay, so a quick overview on how to make some elevations, and I'll make it quick because this video is getting too long. Now I stack 2 XPS sheets that are 3 cm high on top of each other, then mark and cut away where you want your stairway to be, like so. And I will go in depth on high risers, elevations in a future video. We definitely will be building more on this channel, don't worry. It's just a quick one to show you how to do this. Now I cut a bunch of 0.5 cm thick strips of XPS, or you can use foam board and cut them to match the side of, cut them to match your stairway. So I'm cutting mine so that they have the same length and width as the block that I cut out. And once they are done, we're gonna simply glue the stairs on top of each other and then the XPS sheets. And I'm simply using white glue for this, leaving 0.5 cm between each step, like so. They match perfectly. Now I'm scoring the XPS, and then before gluing in the staircase, glue on wall pieces to the sides of the platform, and do this for all of your walls, alright? Do that especially where you want your to glue in your staircase. This is important, to do that before you glue in your stairs. Alright, cool. Now glue on the floor piece you made before, or use the texture roller. Each way works well. And then we're gonna cut pieces out of the side, like so, to match our 4 beams that we also made in a previous video. Alright, so I'm marking out here, cutting away the piece for the angle, and then simply using white glue to attach this. Weigh it down a little bit once you've done. Cut away the part where the stairways are, and go all around the floor on the top. Now next I'm going to glue on all the walls and the wooden beams, and then I'm going to cap off the rims with 2 by 2 cm squares. Also texture the stone squares with a tinfoil ball. And again, we'll go over elevations in a future video in a lot more depth, alright? Attaching the side walls here. Now you can just cut a long 2 cm wide strip piece and draw in the stone squares, as I am going to do right now. I'm going to cut them away, simply using my knife, mark out, cut them away, and glue them on with white glue, like so. And you can add as many details to this piece as you want, guys. I mean, go nuts. Now prime everything black and paint it up exactly as we did with our baseboard. Black primer, then gray dust spray all over it. As you can see, I'm doing all the other boards as well, the other elevations that I've built before. And as a bonus, let's build a little bridge. I cut 1 cm thick piece of XPS, 10 cm wide by 30 cm long. Now we're gonna cut 12 pieces that are 3 cm wide and 10 cm long, then glue these on top of each other at a 1.5 cm intervals. And we're gonna need 6 pieces on each side. Alright, now again with the texture roller we're going to add details to this, also to the stairway. And don't forget to do these sides here as well. And glue them on top of each other with hot glue. Try to keep it as straight as you can. Alright, quick little bridge. Now next we're going to fold a piece of paper in half and mark out 5 centimeters in height, 12 centimeters in length, and draw a curved line and cut this out with some scissors or a knife. And this will be the template for our arc. Now next I cut 2 equal pieces out of the flagstone foam board that are 1 centimeter higher than the bridge. Mark out where the end pieces will be, and I'm using the curved template on both pieces, then cut that away. Like so. Looking cool. Cut that away on the other piece as well. Now hot glue these 2 pieces and taper the edge that runs aligned with the steps. Do one piece first, cut it at an angle. Do the other piece, cut that at an angle as well. Alright, now next I cut some support pillars that are 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter beams, and I taper 1.5 centimeter at the top. Like so. Glue them on for some extra detail. Now next I bend the flagstone piece and hot glue that on the inside to cover up the interior, and a 1 centimeter strip that I draw in a brick pattern on the support pillars and texture it with a tinfoil ball. And these bricks I'm gonna use white glue to attach that on the curved piece. And as you see, I've done the rim and the sides of these bridges with a long 1 centimeter strip, and I drew in brick patterns on that as well, as you see here. And I also attached some wooden details, but feel free to detail everything as you want. Alright, now paint this as well with a brown contrast. I paint all parts that I want to be wood. Now let's look at all our finished pieces so far. And I'm so happy that I decided to go modular with this and not use a city board, a build board. I'm really happy that I went modular, guys. I mean, a lot more details, cool stuff to make battle reports. Every piece can be a different part of the city, and I will do a lot more future Mordheim builds. So as you can see, everything is modular. You can simply take it apart, switch out these baseboards, and I'm building more elevations as well. And of course in the next video will be houses. And as you can see, a quick different layout. You want to use the water, alright, take out these boards and you have water. You can slide that one over, put an extra piece here, lay your harbor tile down there, elevate it here. Alright, so thanks for watching everybody, and especially don't forget to like and subscribe, and Merry Christmas to you all. Bye for now. Bye.